welcome to Elements of Ayurveda, Empowering Wisdom of Life. I'm your host, Colette, and in this podcast, I hope to empower you to take charge of your own health by sharing the holistic teachings of Ayurveda, the ancient healing tradition from India. We will also discuss topics like health and wellness, nutrition, yoga, fitness, meditation, breath work, and much more, as well as interviewing lots of inspiring people along the way. My humble wish is to help you to connect to your true nature, to Mother Nature, and to each other. If you like the content, be sure to subscribe to the show, and the new episodes will automatically download for you to enjoy. This show is for you, and so I would really appreciate your feedback. You can also do a ratings and review in the iTunes section. Thanks in advance, and now here's the show. Hi there, and welcome to episode 3 of Elements of Ayurveda. Today's topic is going to be on how the doshas appear in the seasons. In episode 1, we covered an introduction to Ayurveda, the history, the philosophy, why it's so important for us to understand Ayurveda and how it helps us in our lives. Episode 2, I covered the doshas of Vata, Pitta and Kapha. We talked about the characteristics, the signs of aggravation, what causes aggravation or imbalance in the body, and I gave you some simple tips to bring the body back into balance. Now today, like I said, we're going to cover how these doshas not only appear in our body, but they also appear in the seasons. They also actually appear during the daily energy cycle of the circadian rhythms, and they also appear in our life cycle. But I'm going to leave the circadian rhythms and the life cycle for another whole episode on their own, because that's a lot of information just on its own. Very interesting. But for today, I want to just cover how the doshas appear in the seasons. And this, again, is great information and knowledge shared by Ayurveda to benefit us and to help us understand why we go through changes in our bodies and our minds during the seasons. So the seasonal cycles of the doshas, well, it may be very easy to guess what season Pitta is. Pitta, we talked about how it's hot and sharp and intense. Pitta rises in the environment during the summer season. Now in fall and early winter, we have Vata rising. And if you think of fall and early winter, it's more of a drying. Of course, it depends on where on the planet you are, but it's generally more dry, maybe more windy conditions, more movement in the atmosphere. And then that's when Vata rises in the environment. And then in late winter and spring, we have more of a moist earth. There may be more snow, there may be more moisture, more rain. That's when Kapha, the heaviness of Kapha, rises in the environment. So now I want to go into detail on each one of these, and it will help you understand how to live in tune with nature and to keep your body in balance during the seasons. We're going to start with the season we're in right now, at least in this part of the world, which is summer season. And summer season usually runs from June to September. And it's, like I said, it's Pitta season. It's when Pitta is high in the environment. It's got the same qualities as the Pitta dosha: hot, bright, sharp, intense. There's increased external temperature, and that causes an increase in our internal temperature also. We can tend to feel more irritable, maybe argumentative, driven, maybe more passionate. So everything's a little bit more intense. And this is particularly true for those of us who have a very high Pitta dosha, high Pitta constitution. And at this time of the year, Pitta people should be extremely focused and disciplined on their nutrition and lifestyle, because this is the time of year that you are most likely to go out of balance. Remember, we talked about the Ayurvedic principle of like increases like and opposites balance. Well, because the Pitta constitution already has the qualities of heat and sharpness and intensity, the external rise in temperature and Pitta in the environment causes that like to increase as like. So we're more likely to feel those imbalances of overheating in the body, maybe fever, skin rashes, some conditions like acne or psoriasis, maybe just heat rash. diarrhea, loose stools. There could be heartburn, acid indigestion, nausea, mouth ulcers. There could be just a general feeling of excess heat in the body, inflammation in the body. So all these symptoms are the body trying to release heat. We talked about loose stool and diarrhea in the previous podcast, how that's the body just trying to release excess heat. The same as any skin rashes. Anything that looks red and angry on the skin is more than likely Pitta. If it looks red and angry and intense and irritable, that is a sign that your Pitta dosha is very high. So what we want to do at this time of the year is to bring the opposites, okay? So we said like increases like and opposites balance. So we want to bring in the opposites. We want to bring in more cooling, heavy, bland foods. We don't want anything too spicy. We don't want excess spices in our food, because again, that will raise the temperature in our bodies. So we want the cool and heavy bland foods to counter Pitta's hot, light and sharp qualities. We want to enjoy the summer fruits and veg of the season. And the most incredible thing is that Mother Nature gives us what we need each season to keep us in balance. So Mother Nature is like, oh, you're feeling hot and you're getting irritable and you're overheating and you've got inflammation. I'm going to give you some really cooling fruits and veg that you can eat to cool the body down. And these are things like watermelon and fennel and melons and grapes. All these are great summer foods. Cucumbers. We also have leafy green vegetables, cilantro, summer squashes, mint. Or anything that nature gives us in this season really helps to balance our body. So the best thing that I recommend to my clients is to go to the farmer's market and buy what's in season. Not only are you buying what nature's given you to keep you in balance during that season, but you're also buying locally, you're supporting your farmer's market, you're lessening your carbon footprint, you know the source, it's good quality from the farmer's market. They use hopefully organic methods to grow their fruit and veg. So that's the biggest tip I can give you, is to go to your farmer's market, support and eat locally, and then you're eating seasonally, again, which is important for us to do for our body, because nature, like I said, gives us what we should be eating in that season. So we also want to talk about emphasizing the sweet, bitter, and astringent tastes of summer. So sweet is very calming to Pitta. Now, I'm not talking about, sweet treats and cakes and candies and stuff. I'm talking about things like the summer fruits I mentioned earlier, but, the banana, figs, berries, watermelon, anything that's in season, the melons, also the bitter of the leafy greens, and the astringent tastes of summer, which would be like beans and lentils, making up some nice salads. And this time of year is when we can eat more raw foods. We can eat more salads. Other times of the year, we really need to be focused on cooked foods. But because our digestion is so strong and Pitta is so high during the summer season, it is a time when we can eat more salads and more raw foods. However, for the Vata constitution, you need to have awareness around how that raw food is affecting your digestion. So for Vata high, if you have a high Vata constitution, I do recommend that you stick with more cooked foods. And you can certainly try raw foods, but just have awareness around how your digestion feels, because the Vata digestion is more variable. But definitely a Pitta digestion can handle raw foods in summertime. And eating plenty of them. Aloe vera is another great one. In summertime, having aloe vera juice, aloe vera, having the plant in your garden or in your home. It's a great purifier for the air in your home, actually. But also the reason I mention aloe vera is because it's very good for any skin conditions, any sunburn in summertime. So you just cut a leaf off the plant, you take out the gel of the inside, you put it on any rashes or any sunburn that you have. On another note is if you have anything that's irritable, any bites or rashes, the rind of watermelon or melons are great. So that's another thing you could do. Just rubbing the rind once you eat the melon, rubbing the rind on your skin is very cooling. That's side notes while they come to mind. You want to, in the Pitta season, and particularly for a person high in Pitta constitution, avoid salty foods, hot foods, spicy foods, sour and pungent tastes. The sour we talked about are like fermented foods, alcohol, wine can be very intense in the summer. Maybe if you are having a drink, having more of like a cooling beer, a cold beer would be better if you are going to have a drink. Anything spicy in summertime, you really want to stay away from the heat and the peppers, and have more things like mint and fennel, more cooling things in your food. Coriander, cilantro is very cooling. Adding cilantro, basil, parsley, mint, using those herbs instead. And using pitta pacifying spices and teas as well. You could have like a fennel tea, or licorice tea is very good. Licorice is like a sweet, so it's pacifying. Lavender tea, spearmint, all those teas are great. And another great drink for pitta is coconut. Coconut is very cooling for pitta. That's why you see the coconut used in a lot of the foods in Asia during the hot months. But coconut water is excellent to drink during the summer months. And that's a very good thing for pitta to have on hand as the temperatures rise. So these tips are good for everybody, but like I said, a person high in pitta constitution really needs to be disciplined this time of year. Now, also what Ayurveda recommends is that you do what's called an abhyanga massage on your skin. So you're putting oil on your skin and massaging it in, and not only is the oil going into your skin, which is the largest organ, so it's going into your body, but it's also just giving yourself some healing touch and some compassion, and just checking in with your body, giving your body some attention. The oil that we recommend for pitta is coconut oil. Put it on your skin, maybe circle on your joints a few times, and allow it to sit on your skin for 15 to 20 minutes while you're doing other things like getting your breakfast or whatever, or meditating. And then taking a shower afterwards. So when you have the shower, it takes off the excess oil so it doesn't leave your skin too oily, but also it's driving that oil into the tissues, which is great. In summertime, you want to dress in natural fibers like organic cotton, linen, hemp, all allowing the skin to breathe. And of course, loose-fitting clothes and light colors all can help keep you cool. The fragrances actually that help for pitta are rose. Rose is very cooling for pitta, and sandalwood is very cooling as well. And having those scents can keep the body cool. You could use also essential oils, like maybe burning those essential oils in your home is also another way to keep your body cool. Now, exercising for pitta in the summer, we talked about last episode how by nature pitta is very competitive. So in the summer, when your pitta is higher, it's right at threshold, you want to really be careful not to overheat. So exercise in the cool of the morning or the evening, maybe before 7 p.m., and avoiding definitely the midday sun. That will just drive you out of balance. Less competitive exercise, more for enjoyment. So going more for swimming this time of the year, more cooling exercises, walking in the cool evening air to relax, especially if you've had an intense day, going out in nature and just taking the benefits of the cool evening air. And just trying to keep a general sense of moderation and cooling during the summertime. So there are some simple tips for pitta season when the pitta energy is high in the atmosphere, and we want to make sure that we don't overheat. There are some really simple tips that can help you with foods and lifestyle and fragrances and how to approach the season. Now, after summer, we have fall season, fall or autumn. And this is when the Vata energy rises in the environment. And if we think of fall, it has the same qualities as the Vata dosha, which are cold, dry, windy, and rough. So rough in that the wind is blowing things around, the leaves are drying on the trees and they're falling, they become more rough and dry. And this is a time of more reduced activity. We're in the summer, we're very out and social in general. We're at the beaches, everyone's, taking time off, hopefully vacation. And it's a very outward activity. In the fall, it tends to be more inward, more reduced activity, more philosophical, more inward reflection. There's a greater experience of space. There seems to be more of a spaciousness in fall time. And this is when the earth begins cooling. Of course, it depends where on the planet you are, but generally in this side of the planet, it's more cooling, lower temps and higher winds. And Vata, as we know, is all about movement. There's the winds are drying the earth, and it's like the earth's cleansing process. Like I said, the leaves fall off the trees. We also feel in our bodies a drying of that excess water and oil from summer. It's a time of the year when we turn inward. Nature tends to calm down as we get further into fall and winter. Animals will hibernate, the birds will have flown south, and everything is just overall quiet and reduced activity. Now, the changeable weather this time of year and the high winds can aggravate Vata. So at this time of the year, Vata people should be extremely focused and disciplined on their nutrition and their lifestyle, because all this space and change and high wind aggravates Vata. So we want to make sure that you don't become aggravated, because when Vata is out of balance, and we went into detail on this in last episode, but some of the imbalances could be increased anxiety, weakened immunity, maybe insomnia, trouble sleeping. Now, because at the end of summer, there's an accumulation of heat. So at the start of fall or autumn and the end of summer, there's an accumulation of heat in the body. So we can also have some Pitta imbalances here because of the stored heat from summer. So you may also have some skin rashes and hives or loose stool, and that's more the Pitta accumulation at the very start of fall. So what we want to do here, some simple tips as we go into the Vata season, is to favor more sweet, sour and salty tastes. So particularly for those high in the Vata constitution, the sweet and sour, very good sour, again, fermented foods are good for Vata. If you're experiencing excess heat at the start of fall, remember the fermented foods are generally aggravating to Pitta, so you want to avoid them. But if you find your digestive system is irregular and they may have a lot of gas or bloating, the fermented foods will certainly help with your digestive system. And the salty tastes are good for Vata because Vata tends to be dry. So as you go further into fall and you experience dryness in the body, some good quality salt like rock salt or Himalayan pink salt can bring water into the body. Wherever salt goes, water goes. So it can help to retain the water in the body. As I said earlier, eating seasonally and locally. So in fall and winter, we're getting more into root vegetables. We have great beets and potatoes, and there's a lot of root grounding vegetables, carrots, all these root vegetables, they come from the ground. They help to ground that air and spaciness of Vata. So it grounds that feeling of imbalance, of maybe excessive nervous system activation or excessive mental activity, hyperactivity, insomnia. It calms the nervous system down with these foods, grounding foods, eating warm, moist, heavy foods like soup, stews, pasta with sauces, lots of liquids and good fats. Add heavy, oily nuts to the diet, maybe almonds or pecans, maybe nut butters, good nut butters. And this time of year, particularly for a high Vata constitution, you want to avoid the raw salads or raw fruits and raw vegetables, because the Vata is high in your body, and now the season is Vata season, so it's causing an increase in Vata. So you will tend to have more irregularity in the digestive system, and we don't want to put too much pressure on it. So that's why we want to eat foods that are high in good fats and lots of moisture in them and easy digestible. So we're eating cooked foods, because if we're eating raw foods at this time of the year, it cools down the digestive system. The food sits there while the digestive system is heating back up, raising the temperature back up after you ate the cooling foods or the raw foods. Then it has to cook them and digest them, and that's a lot of time sitting in your body. So like I said, best to stick with warm foods. Now, for the Vata constitution in the Vata season, we recommend using more warming oil for your Abhyanga massage. So doing something more like sesame oil. And the Abhyanga massage, like I said, is very simple. It's just putting oil all over your body, on the skin, largest organ. Sesame oil is very heating. It's a little bit thicker, a little bit heavier, so it's more grounding to Vata. This is a very important daily routine for Vata to do, because just putting the oil on your skin can help ground and calm. Giving yourself a little self-massage should take 5 minutes. It's not a big process, but just putting it all over the body and then circling on the joints, particularly good for Vata because you can get some joint pain or cracking. And because your body's so dry, we want that oil to soak into your skin and into your body. So leaving it on again for about 15 to 20 minutes, go and maybe sit and do a meditation, or just prepare for your day. You could do this in the morning first thing. If you don't have time in the morning, you could do it in the evening before bed. It's a great pacifying and calming routine for Vata, who can have sometimes a hard time getting to sleep because of that mental activity. Another thing you can do to help get you sleep is any of those thoughts going around in your head, just write them down on a notebook so they're out of your head and on paper, and you don't have to keep circulating them over and over again. Another tip for Vata, any time of the year, but particularly in fall and autumn, is to put some sesame oil on some cotton buds, and you can put those in your ear, some warm, round cotton balls, and then just put that gently in your ear, and that is really great for creating a cocoon effect, which is very pacifying to the Vata dosha and helping you to get to sleep. So if you have trouble getting to sleep, putting a little bit of sesame oil, a couple of drops on some cotton balls, putting them gently in your ears, and it just helps cut off the senses of the ears and gives you that nice cocoon effect, which helps to pacify you and get you to sleep. And for dress this time of year, you want to dress in warm colors. It's cold, it's windy, and the warm colors will help to pacify Vata. Cover your head, neck and chest. Always have a scarf. Always dress in layers, because the high winds or the changeable weather can be aggravating. So making sure that the neck and the chest are covered. And then for exercise, you want to make sure you're moving your body to circulate the blood in the lymph system and keep your immune system strong, because your immune system can be affected when the Vata is high. So, but exercising in moderation, not to exhaustion. You want to you don't want to go till you're absolutely exhausted and run out of energy. Also, you could do some grounding, slow yoga practices. That would be great also to really help keep the body grounded. So I would alternate between some medium exercise. And what I mean by medium exercise is where when you're exercising, you can talk in a full sentence or a long phrase. You don't want to be exercising to the point where you can only talk in short phrases or words, where your breath is really heightened. So you just want to keep it where you can talk and have a conversation while you're working out, or at least at the most talk in long phrases. Okay, I hope that helps. So there are the tips for the Vata season. Like I said, the Abhyanga massage is really important. You can put it all over your body. If on the days you're washing your hair, you could put it on your scalp. And then a tip for when you put it on your scalp, when you massage your scalp with the oil, is that when you are washing your hair, put the shampoo on first, and then that will grab most of the oil, and then you can put the water on. So it's just a tip for getting the water out of your hair a little bit easier. Okay, so next then we are going into Kapha season. So we're moving out of Vata season and we're moving into spring. So in Kapha season, that's when the earth tends to be more moist and it tends to be a little heavier. We have more moisture in the air. Tends to be, obviously again, depending on where you live, more rain or even snow. So we want to make sure that we're bringing the opposites into this season. We're bringing the more lightness, less stagnation. So here are some tips to help us keep ourselves in balance during the Kapha season. So when you think of the Kapha season, it's got similar qualities to the Kapha dosha. It's got heaviness and stagnation and more static qualities. It's more slow. Like I said, the earth is heavy with moisture, and everything moves. It seems it moves a little slower in springtime, and it's the same is true for our body. Our body is a little more sluggish at this time of year. We've come out of the heaviness of winter, and now the ground is starting to thaw and starting to kind of become awake. But that is just at that transition from fall to from winter to spring. That's when we really need to be disciplined about our diet, because that's when some imbalances can occur. Some of the things that can happen when we have that moist, heavy, damp qualities of the Kapha dosha, which rises in spring, is it provokes heaviness, congestion, maybe laziness and slowness. There can be excess water retention. There can be increased mucus in the body. So at this time of year, a person high in Kapha dosha needs to be very focused and disciplined on their nutrition and lifestyle. So what we're going to do now is talk about, how can we improve that? With our diet and drinks and dress and exercise, how can we help to balance the Kapha dosha in spring? Again, these are tips good for everybody, but particularly for those of you high in the Kapha constitution. So at this time of the year, there can be Kapha imbalances like weight gain, lethargy, colds, congestion, coughs, maybe water retention. So the diet we want to bring in is the opposite of that heaviness of Kapha. We want more hot, dry, light foods to counter the cold, moist, heavy qualities. Kapha pacifying diet is lighter, less oily, with more warm cooked foods and lots of vegetables, again, seasonal vegetables. Adding baked, broiled or grilled foods, spice foods, these are all great. And you notice like baked, broiled and grilled, there's less oil, there's less moisture. So we want to have more dryness this time of year, particularly for, again, the Kapha constitutions. Favor pungent, astringent and bitter taste, because these will be drying, cleansing and stimulating to the body. So pungent would be all the spices. Kapha does well with all the spices because they're warming, they invigorate the digestive system, really combating that slowness and that sluggishness in the digestion. The astringent taste would be beans and lentils, again warming spices, green leafy vegetables. The warming spices could be cloves, cardamom, cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg, turmeric is astringent as well, black pepper. All these are great to use. And of course, eating seasonal vegetables this time of year. Limit the sweet, salt and sour tastes because they are aggravating to Kapha and they can cause Kapha to rise. And the salt, because salt helps to retain water in the body. So we're trying to get rid of the excess water in the body. And avoiding cheese and ice cream, yogurt, which is sour, and any sweets, desserts, any cookies, all that. Avoiding comfort foods, basically. The drinks that would help at this time of year is herbal teas with things like ginger, having a hot lemon water with a slice of ginger in the morning. Clove, cinnamon are all beneficial. And the great thing about the herbal teas is, particularly like things like cinnamon, it's sweet, so it pacifies the sweet taste in the body. The cinnamon also balances the blood sugar. And I'm going to do another whole episode on the spices because they are amazing, their benefits. That'll be another whole show for you. But the cinnamon, like I said, it balances the blood sugar. It pacifies that sweetness if you're craving something sweet, particularly after dinner. And it also is warming to the body. So it warms up that cold kapha digestive system, stimulating the body and getting things moving. It helps to increase the blood flow and increase the lymph. Drink warm water throughout the day, so avoiding cold drinks. And Ayurveda always recommends never drinking ice drinks because they just douse your digestive fire. So particularly for kapha, having warm drinks throughout the day, herbal teas, or maybe just sipping on hot water. That's a great way to stimulate the digestive system and avoiding the cold and ice. Now, with the massage for kapha, because kapha, it tends to be heavier by nature, we don't want to use a heavy oil. So something like a sunflower oil, obviously you want organic because you're putting it on your skin, almond oil, olive oil. You could also use mustard oil, which would be a little bit heating. That's a great oil to use for your Abhyanga massage. And again, Abhyanga is the massage that we recommend that people do daily. And I know it might seem like, I'm going to massage myself daily, but it's really about a great self-care practice. Not only is it good for your skin, but it's good for your internal body because your skin is the largest organ, as I've mentioned a couple of times. But also it's that giving your body some attention, giving some self-love, and it's very pacifying for the body. This time of year, you want to dress in warm, bright colors. Again, what you wear and the colors you surround yourself with, the colors in your home, all has an effect on how you feel. So wearing warm, bright colors will bring that sense of warmness to the body and the mind. For kapha, exercising, you want to really build up heat in the body. So kapha, you can go for it in exercising. We want to make sure that you exercise to the point where you're sweating. You have great endurance, so you can build up that heat in the body and you can keep going for a long time. So you're doing things like active things, maybe a brisk walk and then building up to a slow jog, maybe running, or doing lots of variety in your activities as well. So not just doing the same exercise every day. Active yoga is great. You want to spend less time lingering in positions when you're doing yoga, so less restorative for you, more movement. And practicing lots of variety. And for kapha, you tend to sleep very well, and you're a heavy sleeper, so you want to avoid naps. You want to make sure that you're sleeping from 10 till about 6 a.m. or about sunrise, before or with sunrise you're getting up. But you want to avoid naps during the day because that will cause more heaviness in your body. So that's the tips for the kapha dosha. So as you can see, these doshas appearing in the season, and just by understanding this information, we can understand why our body is feeling certain symptoms, and it gives us more of understanding about tuning in and listening to what our body needs. And just like we change our clothes in the season, we need to change our foods. It's not good for us to eat the same things all year round. And again, going to the farmer's market is a great way to find out what is in season, because it's hard to tell in the supermarkets these days. So support your local farmers markets. They're doing an amazing job and really hard work out there producing food for us and trying to compete with these big supermarkets. So I really encourage you to check out your local farmers market, support the farmers. When I go there, I get some great tips about how to cook vegetables and what to do with the herbs I get. And it's just a really good also community building way, getting out there and meeting those people in your community, because it's hard for us to connect it nowadays. So I'm all about the farmers market. You'll hear me say that a lot. So another thing I want to talk about and just finish up talking about is the joints between the seasons. You heard me mention this while I was talking earlier, that during the joint of the season, I talked about how when we go from summer to fall, there's an accumulation of heat at the end of summer. And the same thing at the end of winter and into spring, there's an accumulation of water in the body, of mucus, of heaviness in the body. So what Ayurveda recommends is that we do regular seasonal cleanses. And the joint between the period of the seasons is called Ritsuandi, and I hope I pronounced that right. I'm sure I butchered it. But basically what it means is that your body's become accustomed to the food and weather of the previous season. Adapting our diet and lifestyle helps us to prevent the doshas from aggravating. So if we don't change our diet or lifestyle to the coming season, it will cause an aggravation in the doshas, and it can lead to accumulation of toxins in the body. What we call ama in Ayurveda is just a name for toxins in the body. And when we have toxins in the body, this can lead to illness and down the line something more serious. So we want to add the changes to the diet and lifestyle gradually, incorporating the foods of the appropriate season. But we kind of want to do this, Ayurveda recommends, within a 2-week period. Now, of course, we know that as the seasons change, during that period of change, the weather can be all over the place. One day, for example, if we're changing from summer to fall, one day it could be summer, and the next day you could have really fall conditions, and then it could go back to summer for a week. But that confusion in the environment causes confusion in our internal body. So we really need to be careful. And that's why at the joint of the seasons, from summer to fall and then from winter to spring, I do group online cleanses to make sure we clear out any of the excess accumulation in the body, to help our body go through that confusing joint between the seasons and make sure that we don't get any of those spring congestion, mucus, sinusitis, colds, which are really rampant in spring or at the end of summer, that we clear out that accumulation of heat. And that's actually what I'm going to talk about in my next episode, is the importance of seasonal cleansing. So make sure for my next episode that you subscribe to the show. You can do that. And when you subscribe to the podcast, you will automatically receive the downloads in your wherever you listen to your podcast. So please do that, because the next week I want to talk about why we need to seasonal cleanse, and I'm going to introduce you a little bit about the cleanse that I'm going to be doing, which is going to be coming up towards the end of September. I'll give you more details on that in the next episode. Also, if you're enjoying the content, please rate and review it if you wish. You can do that in iTunes, or if you want, just share it with your friends. You know, I'm really all about getting this content and things that I learned, went to school for in Ayurveda, getting it out there and helping people to understand that it doesn't have to be so challenging, and all these different diets and all this different nutrition information coming at us. It can be so confusing. So I want to try help simplify things for people. And what I like about Ayurveda, it's so logical and it makes sense. There is a depth of knowledge, but it's also makes sense. And you'll see that as we go through the episodes, it repeats. There's a repeat of information. So it really helps solidify it and helps it become ingrained. So please let me know if you have any feedback. You can go to my website, elementshealingandwellbeing.com, and just hit the Contact Me tab, and you can send me a message there if there's anybody you want to recommend to interview. I'm always welcome to have people recommend people to interview, because I'm always curious and always want to learn and share with others, or if you have any feedback on the show. Like I said, I'm a newbie at podcasting. This is only episode 3, so you have to have a little bit of patience with me while I get this down to a fine art. But if you have any feedback, it's always helpful, because I want to improve my service for you. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedules to tune in and to listen, and I wish you well. Take care, and I look forward to connecting with you soon.